Hey guys, welcome to the channel. And today I wanted to talk about one of my newest Fitment gadgets, which is the Helio Band from Amazfit. So this just came out, I don't know, 2 weeks ago or so. So I've had it since launch and I've been kind of putting it through a little bit of testing just to see kind of how it performs. So a little background. I was a Whoop user. I used the Whoop for about 2 years. So obviously this is kind of a direct comparison to that, but obviously I've also been a long time Garmin user, probably for gosh, maybe 10 years now. It's been kind of my staple device. But I like the Whoop a lot, but also there's a lot I didn't like about it. So I've been really hoping that Garmin would announce or come up with one of these kind of wellness bands or whatever you want to call them. And they have a sleep one, but I don't want a sleep one. I want, kind of a more all around. And then Amazfit answer the call. So gotta say, so far it's actually been pretty good. There's actually a lot I like about it. So I wanted to kind of go through some of my likes and some of my dislikes. So one of the first things you may notice first and is that I've actually got it out of its stock strap. So I kind of made my own. I made my own case here because, well, why not? So this is the stock one. So it plugs in, kind of pops into this stock one, and then it loops around like this. So not bad at all, but problem I have is it's a little on the small side. So it's almost impossible, and I don't have giant hands, but it's really hard to get it all the way on your hand very easily. Sometimes this slips out and then it's kind of a pain in the butt to get it. But once you get it on, it's on. So, and it fits pretty good. It's just a little, not quite as comfortable as the Whoop, I would say. A big reason for that, I don't know if you can see it, but it's got a very straight design. So what the Whoop does well, kind of compare the pucks, see what I mean? It's like impossible to take this thing off. So if we take a Whoop right here, and then we take this one, you can see that it's noticeably thicker, a little bit shorter, but not much, and about the same width. But the big thing is the Whoop kind of has a little bit of a nice little curve to it, which kind of lays in your wrist much nicer. Where this one is a kind of just like a straight rectangle. So from a design standpoint, not as good of a design as I think it could have been. They should have made this a little thinner, a little thinner, a little wider, and give it a little bit of a curve to make kind of hug your wrist. So that's probably the biggest drawback to it so far. Is probably the design. I think it could have been a little bit better compared to the Whoop. So the Whoop is just, like you can see, the Whoop's a little wider, which I think is a good thing because it doesn't flip as much. But most of all, it just kind of is thinner, hugs your wrist a little better. So that's probably from a cosmetic standpoint. Design, not the best. I think Whoop wins that one. Now, as far as the software goes, it's a little bit. So the Whoop as a whole, I think, has better software. Its app is much more organized. Just Whoop by far has been like the nicest app I think I've used out of all the fitness devices. So kind of the application is not bad, but it's just not as nicely organized and kind of meaningful as the Whoop is. But it's not bad though. I gotta say it is. Maybe take some getting used to. But I will say though, where on the software side, where this just crushes the Whoop is on strength training. So the Whoop basically does not have a strength training. They say they do, but it's probably the worst strength mode I've ever used. A big reason for that is that you have to pre-plan your workout, and then you have to fiddle with it throughout your entire workout. You can't just select strength training and go kind of freestyle it. You have to fiddle with it the entire time, which to me is basically counterintuitive to getting a good workout. I found myself spending more time playing with my phone than I was training. So I hated the strength training on the app. In fact, I would just select, I think, like running or something, or some kind of cardio one just to track heart rate. I couldn't even use strength training. Where the Helio actually has a really good strength training app. So basically, all you do is go to workout and you select strength training, and that's it. And then what happens is it actually will auto-recognize your workouts. So like for example, right here, it recognized it pretty well, which is kind of good. I mean, it's not spot on, particularly if you're using like cables where the movement isn't like traditional, so it can kind of fiddle with it. Like for example, I lay down on the floor and I was doing rows, but with my like on a cable machine, I was laying on the ground doing like rows with my back. But because I was laying on my back and doing that motion, it thinks I was doing bench press. So things like that are a little quirky, but for the most part, it gets it somewhat close. But then you have the option to come in here if you really care that much, and you can fix it. So this is perfect because now I don't have to mess around in the middle of my workout and fiddle with it. Instead, if I really care about this stuff, I can come in here and clean it up afterwards. Where again, the Whoop, you can't do that. You kind of have to fiddle with it as you're working out, which I couldn't stand. So software wise, while the Whoop is better, strength training, the Helio wins. So that's kind of that on the software side. The other big thing that I love about Amazfit, and they're really the only company that so far offers that, is the ability to have kind of a have more options. So for example, you've got this, you've got watches, but then you've also got the ring. So to me, this is perfect because to me, the most comfortable device to wear is the ring. Between a watch, the band, and the ring is by far the most comfortable, but it's horrible for working out. Like it's especially strength training. It's it gets in a way you can't even work out with it. So what I do typically is I wear the ring to sleep, and then I just wear this throughout the day. Or sometimes I'll even wear the ring if I'm going out. Like if I'm going out, let's just say I'm going out to dinner or something like that, and I don't want to be wearing like a an athletic band on my wrist, I can just put the ring on and then still continue collecting data. So to me, this is like the perfect combo is having the band, a ring, and if you want to watch, you can get to watch and all three work together. So that is amazing, and it's just almost crazy that this kind of somewhat small, newish company is the only one that can do that. Like the fact that Garmin can't do that is just mind-boggling to me. Garmin's got like 35 watches. Why they can't just scrap one of them and dedicate the effort to making a ring is beyond me, or open up their software to accept the data from rings. But I'm kind of done with Garmin, to be honest, because they're just kind of slowly becoming the BlackBerry. They just think a watch is the only thing that you should use, just like BlackBerry thought that apps were not a thing. It's a business tool and no one's gonna ever want apps. And BlackBerry learned the fate of what happened there. I feel like Garmin's gonna, in a way, go down the same path. They're very steadfast that watch is really the only thing, when that couldn't be further from the truth. One of the worst places to get your heart rate from is your wrist. So the fact that they insist on making watches is kind of frustrating. Where this one, you can, now it's new, so they don't have all the accessories yet. So let me kind of jump into kind of the band and accessories. So because they don't have any accessories, you can see I kind of made my own. The reason I did that is I find this one a little more comfortable. It makes it a little thinner and easier to get on, and then you can just quickly, close it and adjust it where you want. You want to wear it higher, you can wear it higher. So this is kind of a custom band I just kind of threw together, and what it really is these are these kind of Velcro straps that are on the Enduro, same kind or the same kind of design. Just this is a 26 millimeter and this is a 22 millimeter. So all I really did is you take here, I got another one over here. All you got to do is get one of these bands, and I'll put them in the link if you're interested. And then you need some kind of like I don't know, keeper or what, I don't know what these are called, like something like that to loop it around. And you basically just take one end, put one end through here, And then this one kind of loops around. And then all you got to do is get some like stick-on Velcro. So you just stick it on, and this kind of helps to secure it. And then all you got to do is just put it, this Velcro's right to it. And it's pretty sturdy. It will not move. Just kind of got to get it somewhat centered to your liking. And that's it. And then once you have that, you just put it on. And presto, you got yourself a band. There you go. And it fits just fine. You know, if you want it to go a little wider, you can always use the 26 millimeter. If you want it to kind of basically completely kind of overlap the puck, you can go with a 26 millimeter. Kind of make it to your taste. Now, what you can also do with these is if you take the stock strap, so let's just say you wanted to make a bicep band, you can actually take this, loop it through here. Let me try this again. So if you loop one end through here, and then the other two ends can basically Velcro to each other. Now it's kind of hard to see because it's wide, but you gotta trust me, it works. So I used it already. So you put one end right here, and then these two ends basically will Velcro to each other, and now you've got a bicep band. So, and then you can adjust it. If you want to adjust it, you just undo this end, and you can size it to your arm. So this will work for your arm, your forearm, your leg, whatever you want to put it around. So these straps, I think, are perfect. They add a lot of versatility. You can combine, or you can do the same with two of these as well. So if you wanted to take two of these and put them together, there you go. And then same thing, put it through here, and then you can make yourself a bicep band with two of these as well. So a lot of versatility with these bands. So there you go. See, now you got yourself a bicep with two of these. So pretty handy to get these come in a 3-pack. So I'll throw a link in the description if you want to pick one up. But I'm a fan of using these kind of quick Velcro straps versus using that stock one. Just for this just feels a little bit lighter, and I find it a little bit more comfortable than the stock one. The stock one just is a little bit where'd it go? Stock one I think is a little bit thick. I don't know. It's just feels a little heavy, and then this plastic casing just makes it even bigger now because your puck goes inside. So that's another, I think, design kind of a little bit of, I don't want to say a flaw, but just you're just adding size to it. They should have just incorporated the bands to the unit itself to keep it a little smaller. So, but otherwise it works just fine too. It's not a bad band by any means. To be honest, I actually think the Garmin band or the Whoop band was a little crappy. I never liked this kind of weird design they have. It wasn't bad, but one, I just didn't quite like it too much, the way it fastened, but more importantly, I didn't like this proprietary system, because that's another reason why I left Whoop, is that you're stuck using their accessories. These cloth bands, you almost want to replace, look how this one looks like. I mean, you want to replace these probably at least like every 3 months, maybe. And they're just greedy. I mean, they charge like $30-$40 just for this little piece of cloth, which is insane, which kind of makes it impossible to, I'm not spending that much money on top of a subscription fee to get a freaking band for $40-$50. It's ridiculous. So that's another reason why I kind of got fed up with Whoop, is for what you pay and what you get, I just didn't think the value was there. Especially the strength training app. For the 2 years I had it, there was very little to no improvement to it. It still is one of the worst that I used. But there you go. So that's the Helio Band. I really like it, to be honest. And they retail for $99, but there's coupons out there where you can knock off another 10, 15 bucks, which will bring the cost down even more. And like I said, you just have so much flexibility to use this with different bands, with a watch, with a ring. I mean, you can put this little puck in your sock if you wanted just to use it there. I mean, it's very similar to the Whoop in that sense. Gives you a little more flexibility how you want to wear it. But I do find it more comfortable using this strap than the stock one. It just kind of feels lighter to me. So that's kind of how I predominantly wear it. But yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. As far as accuracy, in the short 2 weeks I've had it and the few workouts I've done, I mean, it's as good as it can get from a wrist-based tracker. It's hard to say because like it varies in kind of workout you're doing, but I find it pretty accurate. From just like a sleep standpoint, I don't know. I feel it's a little generous. Like I'm a pretty crappy sleeper, and it always gives me good scores. So I do feel like their like sleep scores a little generous, but their sleep tracking is actually pretty on par. Like every night, it pretty much is pretty accurate as far as when I fall asleep, when I wake up. So I think it does a good job there. And then you do also have like a journaling feature, which again, similar to Whoop, if you wanted to, log certain things throughout your day, just to kind of, see how it impacts your sleep. I haven't had it long enough to start seeing how it uses that data, but like I said, it's pretty good. I'd probably say it's actually better than Garmin's, to be honest. Garmin, I feel like, is very much just fitness focused. It doesn't put a lot of like effort around like health monitoring, which at this point I kind of feel like I'm more into health monitoring than like activity tracking. I don't really, not that I don't care, I just don't really. I'm more concerned about the overall picture than just like how I did on my activity. So that's why the Whoop really appealed to me, because it was more of like a health tracker versus a fitness tracker. But again, for reasons stated earlier, it just wasn't something I want to continue with. So I'm excited to kind of keep using this a little bit longer and just seeing how this does once I get a few more weeks of use into it. But so far, I am happy with it. I think it's a great device. I think it's definitely worth the cost. And I have no regrets, so I anticipate using this for the foreseeable future. And to be honest, at this point, I see myself leaving the Garmin space. I actually haven't worn my Garmin watch now for the 2 weeks I've had the Helio, just because it's doing everything I need it to do, and more, to be honest. So, I think these Garmin watches might find their way to the sale side here pretty soon, especially the Enduro. The Instinct I'll still keep because I like it as a watch, but the Enduro, I have just too much money tied up in it for just to sit here. So that one might be on its way out. And I might consider getting an Amazfit watch, but at this point I don't see a need to, because I prefer to wear my own watches, and then this allows me to still wear my mechanical watches and track data. And like I said, the ring is just like the perfect companion. That's what really wins this for me. Until another company makes this and a ring, it's gonna be hard for me to switch. And I hope they stick with it, because I think it's a great pairing. All right, that's it for this one. I'll come back in a few weeks again once I've got some more usage out of it, to see how it does. But until then, thanks for watching, and I will catch you on the next one.